Welcome to Parish and Community. I am your host, Angela Pancella, and we have a special guest host today, Winnie Sullivan. She serves on our pastoral council and in a number of ministries, including her choir, the anti-racism team, and the Racism and Reconciliation Committee. Hello, Winnie. Thank you for joining us
Hi,
today.
Angela. Good to be with you today.
And our guest today is Nate Tinner-Williams, one of the co-founders of a new publication, the Black Catholic Messenger. Welcome, Nate.
Hi, good to be here.
Nate, thanks for joining us today. We wondered if maybe we could get started by asking you to give us a bit of background about how the Black Catholic Messenger came to be created. We noticed you were inspired by Daniel Rudd, and maybe you could tell us how he inspired and influenced your work.
Yeah, so I was personally wondering about where we kind of are in the present day on Black Catholic journalism specifically. And in the process of trying to find out where we were in 2020, late last year, I discovered Daniel Rudd's publication from, 125 years ago. And it seemed to me that there was such a robust publication then, and that somehow since then it had, instead of increasing, instead of like multiplying Black Catholic publications since then, it had kind of, decreased. And it turned out there was no daily publication dedicated to the news and events specific to Black Catholics. And so I and a couple of other Black Catholics decided to do what we could to try to make it happen again. And here we are, a couple months later.
You kind of answered this already, but is there more that you can say about how you feel there's a need for the Black Catholic Messenger specifically today?
Yeah, in my opinion, the African American community is perhaps the most unique community in the United States, and that it is one of the communities that's been here the longest, and it's the only one that didn't come here voluntarily. And so that's created a whole experience and culture all on its own that, many people are already familiar with. But specifically within the Catholic Church, there's also been that pocket of us as long as basically the country has been around and even before. And so it makes sense that our perspectives and news and events and other things that we have going on would be covered, in Catholic media, especially by, people within our own community. But often that's not really happening, whether it means that we're not being written about or talked about at all, or if we are, it's almost never with our own voices. So that was what we were looking for. And again, it was surprising to me to learn that so long ago there was a publication of that nature. And today there are still some, but that publish maybe quarterly or just a few times a year. So having something more frequent than that seems to be, a no-brainer.
Yeah, when I saw the title Black Catholic Messenger, it invoked a memory for me of being in elementary school. This is certainly going to date me, but I remember reading publications like Our Little Messenger and Young Catholic Messenger. And when those were created, they were addressing a readership of newly arrived immigrants who were encountering a lot of anti-immigrant sentiment, and not just Protestant, but anti-Catholic sentiment. And I was wondering if maybe even naming that publication, you were familiar with the history of those other Catholic publications.
No, not at all. Our naming came from wanting to have Black Catholic in the title and wanting to have that third word be something that evokes journalism and also, making our voices heard. And but those publications you mentioned sound very interesting, and I need to do more research about them. But they had no influence on our publication.
Yeah, they are interesting. I happened to pull up, look at an archive and pull up a couple of them the other day, and looking back at them, they're quite interesting. So yeah, it's kind of fun to recall those and to also just realize how much of that stayed with me as a child and probably influenced my thinking as a young Catholic.
Now, one of
Yeah,
the
they're like really, really important publications of their time.
yeah. Now, one of the articles that caught my attention from you is a piece that you talked about the inaugural poet Amanda Gorman and her background as a Black Catholic. What sort of reaction have you gotten from that piece?
Perhaps I should start by saying it's been our biggest piece that we've put out so far. We were one of the first to cover the fact that she's a Catholic, and that I can't congratulate myself about that. I definitely got some tips from people who were like, "Did you know?" So yeah, we got that out pretty quickly, and it's been really impactful, and most of the feedback has been positive, just because it was so unexpected. Like, people would never have thought, I think, that she's a Catholic, and to learn that and to learn more about her parish was just really exciting for a lot of people. There has been some negative pushback because she's not, in my opinion, she's not the cookie cutter Catholic, and to a lot of people that's threatening in a way. And so if she has some non-standard position on this or that, it's kind of got people coming at us for wanting to write about her in a positive light. It's like, well, what she did that day was positive, and that's all the story was about. So it's been, like I said, mostly positive, but definitely some critical feedback as well. But as a publication, that's part of the process, I would think.
Yeah, what she did that day was remarkable. And it was really fun to see how proud her parish, St. Bridget in California, Los Angeles, was of her. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah. So the Black Catholic Messenger started as an online text publication and has expanded now to be a podcast. And it seems that from your content, your intent is that it's going to have and does have a national reach. So in terms of the scope of your coverage, your readers, your listeners and contributors, are you finding that you're meeting that goal to have a national readership and listenership?
Yeah, for sure. I'm located in New Orleans, and I know our readership certainly is not predominantly in New Orleans, although it is a Black Catholic mecca of sorts. But yeah, we've been getting readers and feedback and contributors from all around the country. So that's been really exciting.
Yeah, that must be really exciting for a newer publication to be getting that response. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, tell us a bit about yourself, where you grew up. Have you always been Catholic? Do you have, I know that you're in formation with the Josephites, and they have a big history of outreach in the Black Catholic community, but how did you come to know about them?
Well, I'm from Evansville, Indiana, a small town in southwestern Indiana. I was not raised Catholic, although that town is has a good number of Catholics, and I grew up around a lot of Catholics, especially in my high school years. But Catholicism did not appeal to me in the slightest until a few years ago. And when it had started to appeal to me, it was a strong appeal, to make a long story short. And around that same time is when I learned about the Josephites in a book, actually, because I hadn't known about Black Catholicism even as I started to come closer to converting. And once I read about Black Catholic history, the Josephites obviously loomed large, and I started to attend a Black Catholic parish. But where I was in San Francisco, the Josephites don't have a parish, and I don't know that they ever have. And so I didn't actually attend a Josephite parish until some time after I converted. And yeah, it was kind of a love affair that moved very quickly. And now I'm an aspirant in the community myself. And it's really exciting to be able to not only pursue the priesthood, but also pursue service within the Black Catholic community.
Sure.
So I'm curious, Nate, in part because I'm a writer and publisher, but I'm wondering about in your studies as a young adult, were you always drawn to and directed toward writing and communications?
If I wasn't drawn, then I was pushed. And I think I did always enjoy writing, though, but it was certainly something my parents and teachers encouraged me to do. And so by the time I was a sophomore in high school, I was pretty set on becoming a journalist.
Mm.
And I ended up going to college as a journalism major. I did not keep that major, but I guess that major kind of found me again several years after I graduated, and here I am. But yeah, I never actually worked in the journalism field after college, but yeah, I guess things come back around to you in their own time.
When you least expect it, that seed gets
Truly.
planted. Yes, right, right, right.
And you're also enrolled at the Institute for Black Catholic Studies at Xavier in New Orleans. How do you hope to apply what you're learning in your studies there?
I think I think it'll happen pretty naturally. I mean, part of the reason that Black Catholic Messenger got started was because I was being exposed to more Black Catholic history, and that's kind of what got my mind thinking about Black Catholic journalism, like where are we last year. And so I had just finished my first semester at the IBCS program, which is in the summers. I just finished in July. And so a couple months later, I was like, okay, now that I've learned all these things, and this is just, the tip of the iceberg, I just started, I'm thinking, what can we do right now? Do I have to really wait, 4 years after I finish this degree to start thinking about what I can do or what needs to be done? And so here I am. I feel like every time I go back to the Institute, I'm going to be, filling up the gas tank for Black Catholic Messenger, and then just also for, other projects that would benefit the Black Catholic community.
That's great. Really encouraging to hear. And I'm just wondering a little bit about how you went from wondering about learning these things and then wondering about what was possible to actually implementing something, reaching out to other people to join you in this effort.
Yeah, it was pretty rapid. I think it was good that it happened in the year 2020 as opposed to, I don't know, the year 2010, because there's so much connection that had already been built up among Black Catholics on the internet. And being in a pandemic, that was pretty much the only way to gauge interest and figure out how to collaborate. And people responded quickly and, with action in mind. And so that was part of why we were able to go from idea to, a live website within a month or so of, the first call being sent out. So that was amazing. And yeah, the power of the internet is undefeated, especially for, I think, Black Catholics right now. It's holding the national community together in a lot of ways.
Mhm. Yeah. As challenging as this past year has been, it's also been really a time of great potential and a need for special creativity. Yeah.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Nate, thank you for your time today. And Winnie, thanks for co-hosting. This is the first time we've gone outside the St. Louis community for Parish and Community, but I hope it's the first of many. So thank you both for being part of it today.
Enjoyed it. Nice to meet you, Nate.
Nice to meet you both. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully I'll be able to visit St. Louis soon.